Go ahead and stand here. Say, wish you luck, Gishigi. Say good evening to each and every one of you. My name is Yishtakaba Laframboys. I'm an enrolled member of the Sisitawa, Wapetawa, Oyate, Dakota. And I'm also Tonawanda Seneca on my dad's side. And on my mom's side, I'm Sac and Fox, Absentee Shawnee, and Prairie Band Potawatomi. So I always tell people, yeah, I'm a full-blooded mutt. But I just want to ask all my elders to forgive me for speaking in front of you. In our native culture, we have a lot of love and respect for our elders. And when I was young, me myself, I grew up around Native American church, around our sun dances, around our sweat lodges, and around the stomp dance. And that's all I knew all my life for a very long time. And I remember when I was young, all my grandpas and grandmas, they had a nice motto. They said, sit down, shut up. That was the motto for a lot of us young kids. So I'm grateful to Justine for coming over and asking me to come here and speak. I've been part of the Norman First American for probably 10 years now. And I run the sweat lodge over at the church. I've been doing that for about a year and a half now over at the church. And me myself, the reason I did that is I needed a place to pray. I needed a place to pray, and I didn't really have any land or nothing like that. And I seen they had an old sweat lodge there. And I remember asking Justine if I could rebuild it for them, and if I could use it for them, and she said, "Yeah, go ahead." She said, "Well, while you're at it, you want to run it for us?" I said, okay, yeah. So, but I'm really grateful. My experience with Christianity, I'd say the first time I encountered it, I was probably in 5th or 6th grade. I was at a school in Nebraska. I was at Falls City Middle School. And I was the only person of color in the whole school. Out of all the kids and all the employees and teachers and the principals, I was the only person of color in that whole school. And I remember I really liked to read. And I went to the library and I was looking for a book to read that I could read. And I remember seeing this black book. It was a real thick, big black book. And the very first page, it said, "In the beginning, it was all darkness, and God said, 'Let there be light.'" And I remember reading that first sentence. I was like, "Whoa, all right." It's cool, you know. I was thinking like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. So I went up to the librarian, and for lack of better words, she was this old white lady. I went up to her and I said, "Hey, I want to check out this book. I want to read it." And she grabbed the book at me and she looked at it and she goes, "What do you plan on doing with this book?" And I looked at her and said, "Well, I'm planning on reading it." She said, "No." She said, "What do you plan on doing with this?" And I was kind of perplexed. I said, "Well, I want to read it." She goes, "No, you don't." She goes, "You do not." I said, "I know you guys." She said, "What do you plan on doing with this? What are you going to do with it?" And that's how she was asking. She said, "Well, I told her again." I said, "I plan on reading it." And she said, "No, you're not." She took that book and put it in her desk and she locked it. And that book was gone for the rest of that school year from the library. She wouldn't let me check it out. She wouldn't let me read it. And I remember years later, a friend of my father invited us to a Christian church. And we were standing there and I looked at one of those books and it started off the exact same. And I realized it was the Bible. And I kind of remembered what she said to me, and I made that connection right then and there. I didn't understand at the time, but you know, I'm probably one of the first Indians where they took the Bible away from me. So. But since then, I haven't really read the Bible. I remember making a conscious decision. I was thinking to myself, well, if I'm going to read this, I'm going to wait until it comes to me again, and until I get a message, you know, that I want to read this again. You know, and so far I haven't really had that message yet, but I really, really enjoy coming to the church. One of the reasons I like to come to the church is when I've grown up around our Native American church, And our sun dances and our sweat lodges, I got to grow up around elders. I got to grow up around all my grandpas and all my grandmas. I remember our ceremonies are really different from the church. And the church is probably maybe 2 hours, and our ceremonies are usually like 8 or 9 hours, and 10 hours. And my grandpas and my grandmas, they talk about God, they talk about our Creator. They talk about our Creator for hours and hours and hours. I remember pretty early on, I remember thinking, yeah, God is good, I want to go outside and play. But now today, all my grandpas and grandmas, they're all gone. It's here in Oklahoma, I don't get to say that word anymore. I don't get to really say grandpa. I still got a few grandmas left. But all my grandpas, they passed away, they're not here no more. And before my grandpa passed away, my grandpa Bones, he shared something with me. He said, grandson, he said, it's going to be a tough day for our Native American church when I'm gone. He said, it's going to be tough for our Indian people when we're gone. He said, I want you to take in all the good from everywhere you can. Take in all the good. So I said, okay, and I remember I was really, now that they're gone, I really miss hearing about our Creator, because that's how our Indian people were. They always talked about our Creator and talked to Creator and all the wonderful things He did for our Indian people. And one of the things I always used to hear is our Indian people survived 500 years of genocide and assimilation. And we didn't do that because we went to battle every single day with the colonizers. We did that we survived because our Indian people believed in prayer.
Yeah.
Indian people had that kind of connection with Spirit. That's why we're here today. That's what they shared with us. That's what they told me when I was young. So that's kind of how I am. I try to surround myself with people who like to pray. And I want to thank my ate, my Ina, my dad, my mom, and my wife. She's holding my baby boy over there too. And we had some relatives come from the sweat lodge too, and they wanted us to come over. And I wanted to share that story about my first encountering the Bible, because I haven't really got to share that story before, but I'm glad I got to, and I'm glad I get to come over here and talk to everyone here. And I just wanted to say that, in 2016, as Indian people, our tribe up in Standing Rock, our water was under attack, and they attacked our water, our drinking water. And while I was there, Native nations from all over the United States, all over Canada and Mexico, they all supported protecting our water. And while I was there, I learned I realized something really important about our non-Native relatives, our Wasichus, or I guess white folks you can say, is that they showed up to Standing Rock. They showed up and supported our Indian people, and they would stand right next to us while we was getting attacked by dogs and rubber bullets, and tear gas and pepper spray. They threw our Indian people in dog cages too. And I have a lot of relatives who got scarred from that movement. And while we was there was tons of non-Native relatives, white folks. They were standing side by side with us on the front lines. They even stood in front of us. And when they stood in front of us, those cops, they hesitated. When they saw these white folks standing with us, they hesitated on, pulling those triggers and spraying us. And that's kind of when I realized, the importance of unity. And I started to look back on history, and there was multiple occasions when white folks and Indians, they came together, and a lot of good things happened in our history. So I kind of came to realize the importance of unity, and that was kind of one of the main lessons I took from Standing Rock, is we're all human beings. And that's one of the lessons that we're taught inside the sweat lodge, is when they close that door and it's all dark in our sweat lodge, we're all human beings again, and there's no such thing as race. That's one of the things that Lakotas and Dakotas we're taught to share. We're taught to share what we have. And even though what we have is very little, one of the things I kind of say is that imagine a Bible. Imagine a Bible, and you grab it and you rip it in half. And half of that's what we have left as Indian people. because they try to destroy our Indian people. They try to wipe us off the face of the earth, and they did a lot of damage to our Indian people. That much is true. And when I worked for the Oklahoma City Public Schools, I got to work with just Native American youth. And a lot of the kids I met and a lot of the kids I worked with didn't even know that they was Native American. They didn't even know what tribe they were. They didn't even know anything about our history. And I went to Norman North. I went to Norman North High School, and in my history class, there's only 2 pages about Native Americans, and that was over the Trail of Tears. And that was it. That was all that there was. At Norman North, that's all they taught about Native American history. So I ask all our non-Native relatives, I don't ask you guys to, go out of your way to spread the message or anything. I just ask that you give us respect as Indian people and give us that respect that we need in order to heal. Like our relatives are saying, we are Indian people. We have a lot of trauma. We are survivors. We're definitely survivors. And I am the first of our Indian people to be able to freely grow my hair, freely speak my language, freely be able to have a sweat lodge in the middle of a city, And I remember my grandpas and grandmas talking to me, telling me that when they would try to put up teepee or have sweat lodge, the fire department would come and they'd hose down the teepee and they'd throw all of them in jail. And I remember them telling me those kind of stories. My grandmas and grandpas, I remember them praying hard, tears, pleading, begging our Creator. We want to pass this on to our young people, to the next 7 generations. That's what they talked about. That's the kind of things I got to see and witness before they went on, before they went over there to the other side. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful I got to learn that, and I'm grateful I got to share this. And I plan on passing this on to my sonny boy over there too. And I'm grateful to Justine and the Norman First American Church, for letting us be able to have a sweat lodge there and letting our Indian people have a place to come and pray. We're prayerful people. We've always been prayerful people. So I just want to share that. That's kind of my message I want to share. And I feel very grateful I get to see more Native elders here tonight. It sure uplifts my spirit. Sure makes me think about my grandpas and grandmas that passed on too. So I just want to say that much, help out the church. So I just say grateful. God bless each and every one of you. Say that much, and then.
That's a good one. That's awesome.